Well, hey there, everybody. So today we're going to work through Chapter 12, doing the assigned exercises. And yeah, so we're going to do this one in inches. It doesn't specify the actual grid spacing. So we'll just do the default of 1 unit spacing and just see how it turns out. It looks like it's about 6 wide. So I'm going to try to start around 4'4". It seems to be our golden number. And then it's 5 tall. Okay. So now that we're done with that, oh, actually we're not. Let's go ahead and draw on the rest of this. If you're having problems getting the right snaps, just turn off your object snap ahead of time. It's about the only time I would actually suggest to do so is when you're drawing with nothing but the grid. And we're going to extend this line. I'll delete out the bottom one. All right, so that's pretty much it for that part. Then we just need to hatch it. Which I must confess I don't do a lot of. So there it is. Okay, so draw panel. And it says use steel. So, oop, frozen. Sorry about that. Streaming's a little tough on a computer. Okay, so we're looking for steel. Man, keep freezing quite a bit. Okay, so it wants us to make it match the original. So we need to flip it so it slants downward like it does, which I guess would be 180 degrees. Any minute now. Okay, so that did nothing, unfortunately. Holy crap, it's so laggy. Okay, so let's go ahead and change the spacing here to something that won't kill our computer. That seems a little closer. So we just need to flip it still. And it looks like we need to go about another 90 degrees. So let's do 270 here. There we go. Okay, so now we can just click and hit enter. There we go. All right, so our scaling was 4 and our angle was 270. And of course the hatch itself was set to steel. All right, so let's see which one's next here. Oh, it's the one right beside it. Okay, so the next one's exercise 2. And it's also going to be on inches. Basically, what it's saying is draw these 2 views and only show the section lines for what's there. So we're going to try to start in a similar area again. Let's still stick with 4'4". And for now, this is going to be our front view, so I'm only going to draw the 1.5 line and then just a line generically over, and then we'll draw the top view, because the top view is where all the good information is. And it looks like we may have to reposition things, but let's just roll with it for now and see. All right, so I'll go up 2 units from the original view, and it's going to be 2.38 tall And then I'm going to cheat a little bit here and do 2.61 twice. So that's going to give us 2 lines. But I'll just delete this little extra one here. And we'll keep on going. So let's turn off this grid crap. Put our snap back on from earlier. And now we can just close it in and trim. Okay. Then you know what? While we're here, let's just go ahead and trim out the portion for our other view. Alright, so mostly everything's based off the middle here as far as vertical lines go. So we'll just kind of start plugging those in after we draw our middle line. Okay, so we have an edge 1 from the center both ways. And so we don't confuse this, I'll just leave a center line mark for a minute. And then we actually have these lines for our holes. And our giant circle in the middle is 1 from the edge. So we'll go ahead and draw it before we get lost in the information we have here. And first we're given we have a diameter of 1. And we have a diameter of 1.63. Alright, so now that we've got that, let's just delete out that portion. And let's offset this bottom right circle. And we'll do our double circles here. And they're going to be 0.38 diameter and 0.75 diameter. And it's the same up here, so we can actually just offset our line and go ahead and copy and paste this portion on too. So there's a 1.5 line. We'll copy, paste. Oops, I deleted an extra line there. Make sure you're keeping these edges. Okay. So next we need, well, center marks, and then also our cutting line. So we'll go ahead and put it on the center layer. Do our center marks. Make sure you're choosing the outside circles. That way it encompasses the full drawing, not just this tiny little circle here. And then let's go ahead and do our miter line, cutting line, whatever. So what we'll do is start here and try to keep it roughly how it looks in the book. Let's see, about like that. And basically we're just projecting it to cut through where it cuts through. So maybe something a little like this. And then we'll keep it going there. And then I'm going to try to keep it tidy. So the reason I drew it to stop here is so I can move this out proportionally the same for both. So we'll do 0.25 out both ways, or on both ends. And you know, miter lines aren't exactly perfect. So first of all, it should be on Phantom too. I'm not even sure if mine's on that because it looks kind of blank. It is, okay. It's just that the lines are so small, but we can do a LT scale for it later. So then once we have it here though, you kind of have to custom draw these arrows, and it's not great, so that part kind of sucks. So what I'm going to do is actually just draw out in space a certain size here, 0.25, which will actually take it. Okay, well, you know what, that's fine. So we'll ballpark it, make it pretty short. And then I'm just going to click And we'll rotate it. And if you guys know a better way, please, by all means, let me know. I'm definitely not sold to doing this. It's kind of sloppy. So, but you know, you can then adjust it like a normal leader. There's just no text. But then the downside is, you know, you also have to you have to manually create these labels and position them, and it's kind of sloppy. So, you know, I'm definitely not married to this concept. I'm trying to keep it, you know, the same for both. So I'm gonna try to make it visually pretty similar spacing. This one's a little closer, but who's nitpicking, right? Oh, come on, you. Okay. So now we need a dimension. You know what? Actually, we'll go ahead and project this other view. It might get a little convoluted if we dimension now. But so now we can just, you know, change to our object layer and start projecting down some of this. Okay, so earlier it told us that the depth of this counterbore region is 0.25. So I can go ahead and trim off this bit, trim off this bit, and this portion. And delete off the projection extras there. And you know what? Let's go ahead and trim this too. Well, if I can get my clicks. And what I'm thinking we can do here is let's go ahead and just draw a line here. We can copy this one and paste it over here. Ah, but you know what? I've actually goofed. Let's back that up a little bit where we didn't have it trimmed yet. So actually, it's that depth, but we were supposed to have two different edges here, and I just didn't draw them earlier. So let's pause this for a minute. We'll go ahead and do the height change so it's a little more apparent. Okay, so we have these two edges here, and where those edges meet is where this portion ceases to exist. So we can trim away this tidbit and make it a little more clear. So now, from on this end, we will have that depth of 0.25. And we can still do the same thing. And just delete that out. So now what I'm thinking we'll do though is we'll just project a line down here, and where it meets, we can actually just move this a copy of this one over here to there. That way we don't have to really draw it twice. But the crucial part is make sure that it's aligned. So I'm going to hover over the midpoint, and where it intersects right there on that line, I'm going to copy from there, and I'll paste it over here. So now we've got two without doing much work really. And we can go ahead and do the same principle here to project down this circle. And then it has a depth given of 0.25 as well. So that's pretty chill. We can do the same thing. We'll trim off the bottom, the larger portion, the smaller portion, and we'll just break the connection there. Then delete off these two lines and these two. Oh, and I missed a line here and here. Okay. So next, it looks like we are missing fillets of R.1. So let's slap in a bunch of them guys. All right, so click, 0.1. And now since we got that one set up, we can quickly just left click, right click. Remember, don't press space because it will try to make a radius circle instead of a tan radius. This is one of the only cases where it doesn't really work well to hit the space button, so no repeat commands here. Okay, so we've got those fillets, and let's trim them. Oh, forgot one. Okay. Okay, so let's see if it tells us which hatch to use. Okay, so it says use hatch for brass. We'll delete that. And while we're here, let's go ahead and just shift this down. How about 1 inch? Yeah, it seems kind of fine. Okay. So let's do hatch, and it was, I've already forgot the hatch pattern. Brass. Okay. All right. I'm going to hover and hopefully it doesn't blow everything up. Okay, so how about we turn off our title block layer so it quits trying to fill it out. All right, so you can tell by looking at it. Oh boy. Still trying to fill it out. Wasn't that a bummer? I may just have to delete it for these videos. So anyway, we need to rotate it from being horizontal to down to the left. So let's try doing 45. And I think the scaling was pretty close. I'm going to try to jump down here real quick. Yeah, nice. Okay. I think the scaling's close enough as is, actually. So yeah, we'll just roll with the angle. Come on, you. Huh. It seems to think that that area is not closed in on the left. If you're having that problem too, take a closer look. There could be an issue like I'm guessing mine must have. That seems pretty enclosed. Okay, well, let's just try it again. I'm not going to lie, the hatch is pretty finicky. It worked fine over here. Isn't that ironic? Trying to see if we're missing anything. See what I mean? Very finicky. So if you're having issues, maybe just escape the command and try again, really. Boy, that's painful. Okay, well, that's fine. So we'll just finish that command, and we'll do a separate one for this area here. There we go. Oh, AutoCAD, the things you do to us. All right, so let's put in our center lines, and I know I'm on the wrong layer, but we'll just go ahead and press on, and I'll adjust the layers afterwards. And we'll have to maneuver them anyway, so put it on center, grab the grips, make sure it's the square ones. There we go. All right. So now we can go ahead and dimension it. Now I think that I've set up a hatch layer for you guys. Let's double check though. Yeah, section hatching. Okay. I made it a little bit thinner, that way it's easier to work with. So anyway, let's just slap in these dimensions and we'll move on. So we have 1, and notice that I'm grabbing the end of the section lines. 1.5, 2.38, okay, and I grabbed that one a little off of the edge, so I'm going to move it. You always want that little gap in there. It's makes it a lot easier to read when you're looking at it. And actually, I'm going to move this a little further away. It's just too close for comfort there. And we'll add in our whole note. I'm not sure why there's not like a feature for doing that in AutoCAD without having to actually manually enter stuff, but here we are. So we'll do 2 times % C 0.38, hit enter, and then I'm going to go and find the symbol for counterbore. And the font's going to be GDT. That's where all these juicy little options are. So now I'm going to copy it. I'll hit Control V to paste. And then I'm going to type in % C again, 0.75. Oop, well, I actually didn't need that portion there. And then I'm going to do another symbol, but I'm going to type in 0.25 first. That way I don't have to go in and change the font. Because if you notice when I was typing, that font was really goofy for a minute. Okay, so I'm going to choose the little symbol, copy, paste. Okay. Hard to see, but I really don't think there's much you can do about that. Maybe we can make these bold or something. Didn't seem to change anything, so kind of just is what it is. So then we have our 0.5 value over here. Let's go ahead and put in our heights over here. It's kind of a low-hanging fruit. And you know, color me lazy, but I'm going to copy like all of this. That way when we go and do this one over here, we don't have to go and find all the symbols again. So I'll probably have to delete out part of it or something, but actually it wasn't too bad. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Yeah, all we gotta do is change this value here. So we got 2, well, just 1 times. We got a diameter of 1, depth of 1.63, or counterbore. That's not bad. I don't really feel like messing with the spacing. I think that's kind of fine. That's where they had it. I mean, really, like, it should be down lower, but I guess we could have it left aligned. They had middle left, so. And then let's see how the other one was. It was also middle left, so just go into justification, middle left. There we go. Okay. And just to be a stickler, let's move it down 1 more inch. Okay. So that's going to be it for this one. Actually, one more thing I missed. Okay. We need our text notes in all caps. Section. Okay, so sorry about that. We also have a fillets note. Rounds and fillets equal R1. So I'm going to have it roughly aligned to the title block center. I'm going to do the same here, just kind of ballpark it. a line to the center. All right. So next we have a little more basic one. It's mostly just covering how to properly align hatches to one another. Sometimes you may draw things and it may not actually be, you know, in the exact same location because they have different profiles. So got a 1.53 wide bottom. Uh-oh. You know what? I thought I was an ortho, and apparently I wasn't. Okay, so I'm gonna turn off my grid again. 1.53. And then we will do a offset of 1.25 to the top. And it's really tiny, apparently. And let's see, how wide is that? Oh, it gives us an angle. Interesting. Okay. So let's change it to increments of 1. That way we get our snap in there. And we're looking for 122. If you're not using the increments, you need to make sure that you're dimensioning right here and then checking the precision on it. Because a lot of times what people do is they don't use that snap and it's got a round off. It's very crucial that you do that step right there. All right, so we have a kind of a figurative line. It's just like a placeholder line, but we'll keep it there for now. And we have a circle. So we'll just get these lines in place so we can have it drawn. And it's going to be a diameter circle of a 1/2 inch. Okay. Go you. And let's put on that center mark. Gotta have it. Put on section hatching, and let's do it. Okay, so the default position is backwards to what we need. So let's put it on 180. And that never does anything. Okay, so maybe it just needs to be 90. Yeah, okay, so it's 90 degrees. So then we'll click, close hatch, pattern, and then we're going to do the same thing over here, but we need it to be 270 now so that it's flipped 180 degrees from that 90. And again, nothing. Wow, okay. Apparently I don't know the angles, but you can just play with it. It's increments of 90. Okay, so now you may notice, yeah, like these edges don't line up exactly. So the key to flip that is the snap base command. What's funny is the snap base command doesn't actually control the origin location for the snap of the hatch anymore. Instead, even though the command's there, it doesn't seem to manipulate it. So what you do is right click and choose set origin when you have that hatch selected. And then, you know, it doesn't really snap to these points. So what I'm doing here is zooming in really close to the other hatch where I want this one to be aligned, and I'm clicking at the end of it roughly. And then it'll move all the hatches to match it. You could probably draw on a line of some sort and set them both to that line. But for this exercise, you know, this is more than sufficient. So, but once those are aligned, we'll just keep going through and slapping our dimensions, putting our notes and all that good stuff. So we turn snap back on. Put in our angle. And if you have note on, turn that off so when you're dimensioning it doesn't try to snap to the dimension end. It's a little cumbersome. And I'm going to change my dimension style. I would advise you do the same to be 2 decimal places. That way it matches the book. Okay, so we need our dimension up here. And our snap base, I think this might be able to fit in here. Yeah, cool, cool. Our snap base leader. I know that's not the one I chose, but that's fine. You know, it's generally the same concept wherever you click. Someone turn a polar on and just start typing snap base, even though it's just a lie. Move that in a bit. It's not great when it overlaps, but it's kind of big, so it's fine. And that's pretty much it. We've got this giant template for this little guy. So let's see what's next, though. So we're actually going to jump all the way to exercise 8 here. And it's still going to be on inches, so we'll go ahead and hop in another B template here. And it's going to be another deal where you're drawing the top view first and then the front view. We're going to start a little closer to the bottom this time, so let's do 3-3. And we know it's too tall. And we'll just draw an arbitrary line again. I kind of feel like we need a bigger template, but that's okay. So you know what? I don't like how this is going. Okay, so let's just start on the top view. 8-8. And we're going to draw diameter circles that are not tied to the grid. And it's 1.75 tall and 3 for the other size. And then we've got 4.75 divided by 2, which is 2.375. I'm going to grab that same line and extend the point that same amount of 2.375. And we have a hole of 56 diameter. Radius size of 0.75. Almost messed up there. All right, so I can copy them. Let's turn off all of our snap options except for tangent, because we're going to have to connect everything tangentially, however you would say that. All right, let's put all our snaps back on before we forget. Yeah, it's about fine. Okay. So then we need our center marks. Draw our cutting line. And with the same concept in mind, I'm going to extend these equally. To try to match the book, it looks like it's about 0.375. And then we can do our leader. Don't you love it? It's easier to do a horizontal one, that way it doesn't add that landing. You can technically go into the settings and all of that good stuff, but this is fine. All right, so we'll copy it over here. We'll rotate it. I don't know why I copied it. Now we'll copy it. Okay, I take it back. Let's go ahead and put that font in here. A. And now we'll copy it. It's always easier just to grab it while you're there. All right, so we'll project down and then we'll go back and put the dimensions in again. I don't know where to make it from exactly yet. Let's try offsetting from the center about, I don't know, 4. That seems fine. Okay, so that's going to be our bounding box. This is not too bad placement-wise. All right, so we've got our holes. This big old guy. You could also use the ray command here. I'm not a huge fan, but it is, you know, a few less clicks if you want to really refine the art of projection. It's a good place to start, really. So we can trim off this and this. Clean up a little bit. Go ahead and delete this lad. We can trim off this tidbit and here as well. That part's final. Same here. And we can delete all these little extras. All right, so again, we have some fillets. And they're going to be 0.15. Okay, so let's add our center lines. All right, let's do hatches. And let's see, does it say what to use? I don't think it does, but I believe that's the same as the last one we did, which was brass, I want to say. Just flip back and look. Yeah, it's okay. We'll try brass again. And if I recall, it was like 90. It was either 45 or 90. Come on, you. Okay, so it's 45. Buffering. Okay, so I know the scaling's not quite right, but I'm just going to hit close. That way we can get to editing instead of trying to fill areas. So let's try 2. Oh, you know what? Apparently if you scroll it, we'll actually dynamically adjust it when you're hovering over it. So I actually changed that. I think that's almost exactly it. So there's that guy. And then we can put in our dimensions and our 2 notes here. So we have section AA, wrong layer. If you were trying to be more precise, it would make more sense to have a centered middle justification. But, you know, I'm just trying to get these done quicker so you guys aren't stuck watching me being bored out of your mind over there. All right, so this one is left aligned now. So, all right, time to dimension. And again, let's go ahead and make our precision match before we get too far in. All right, let's put in our quantities in front of each one of these. Notice once you edit that first one, it actually only requires one click to edit the next because it'll have that little box. It's a nice little quality of life thing, but good to know. All right, so now that I'm seeing all this positionally, I'm going to move it over 2 units. Wait, it's got a little more work area here. All right, so the next one's going to be the last one here. That's going to be problem solving exercise 1. It's pretty big. Let's see. I think a B should still be fine. We'll draw the right side view first. We'll do about 9/6, it looks like. All right, so our first diameter size that I'm going to do is the 7.35. And then I'm just going to kind of just go in plugging in the same value, 6.35, or the same values that are beside it. 5, and then the last one we put in is actually going to be our center circle. 3.1. 2.1. And let's see, we can go ahead and draw our circle here. 0.67. All right, so we can just polar array this in order to save a lot of time, but make sure before you do that that you're putting in your center mark. First a giant one, then this little guy. It's up to you. So like the book, it actually makes you extend it. I don't really require that you extend it all the way to the center, but if you want to, you know, it's preferred. But I'll leave that one on to you. There's not a lot of times where you get choice with this class, so you go right ahead if you want to. All right, so we selected our objects. Then we're going to choose the center point and give it a value of 8. Yeah, 8. Close array. And now you see why the line's there, because it looks a lot better. So now we need our cutting line, which goes through to the center and then through to the end of this one. And I'm going to draw it to here and then extend it. It's hard to see what's going on, really. We'll move it up. How about 0.25? This one's going to be harder to extend. It might be a pain. We'll just see. Like, basically what we want is for it to say extension. It's not going to. Oh my. Okay. Well, how about this? We'll move it this way. 0.525. And then we can just grab it and move it back into the center. Work smarter, not harder, right? Okay, so we'll make our leaders again. Make sure you're on ortho. get it to where you have that little arrowhead pop up, rotate. Wasn't really thinking there. We actually needed to be horizontal. That's okay. We'll go ahead and copy one down here. And if you notice, this one actually doesn't have letters on it. That's okay. No biggie. Let's see what the angle is here. It's probably a whole number since it's equal. 45, yep. All right, so we can rotate this 45, and then apparently 90 because all right. Let's put F8 on. It'll do the math for you. All right, so this guy's huge. We could definitely put this on a C. So I'm going to copy this. Oh, woo, definitely the wrong button there. Don't do that. So we're going to hit Control C, go to the C size, and we'll do, let's do 10-4. So we can just close that last one there. You're too small. Okay. All right, so let's do about 8. We'll just start projecting everything over. The overall width of the part is 2. We'll leave the circle patterns for now. It's a lot to have at once, so we'll do it at the end. All right, so let's do a line that crosses through the center here. So we can start offsetting some thicknesses. So we have 0.5 in the middle, which means we need to offset 0.25 both ways. And we can trim this. Let's just tidy up as we go. All right, so we know that this portion is only thick that way here. So we can go ahead and trim that off. We can get rid of this. All right, so next, we can go ahead and trim off all the fluff here. Man, a lot of detail to mess here. I'm just gonna delete a portion of that. Okay, so here's my little trick I usually do. A little bit easier, but if you just trim like this, then you can go in and select all the crap by the line and delete it. So let's just do that. I don't want to end up leaving some kind of remnant in here, and that's what most of the time people would do. So, all right, so now we can trim off this, not that. Apparently we lost a lot of our trims when we undid there, so. Okay. You can kind of tell what to do from here. Just trim this, and then all of this is going away. All right, so next we need some fillets, and we need to project our holes. It's only going to be this hole and this hole, as you can tell, because it's cut in half. So when you see it cut in half here, there's no hidden lines, so you only see what is actually visible. So you won't see these 3 back there, or these 3, which really, you're only going to be looking in the direction it shows, so it would be these 3, but that's for another day. So for now, we'll just go ahead and project these. And you know what? Again, let's do that little line trick. Let's put in our tan radius circles. It's going to be R.15. We'll start at the bottom. Okay, so we've got one there, and it's pretty much everywhere, really, if you're noticing. So thinking about just mirroring the rest. This is a lot of work. Alright, we'll just do it for the sake of practice. How about that? Practice always makes perfect. Alright. Let's do a bunch of trims. I think it's always easier just to trim the fat part of the circle and then just trim the corner personally. A little easier to make sure you're not messing up. Get the majority of it out of the way quick. Ooh, got a little gung-ho there. All right, so up next, let's do some center lines, and then we'll do our sections, and we'll be about done. We'll just have to put in some dimensions and whatnot. All right, so we're going to have to do some adjustments with our center lines, but we can get a decent starter going. What's crazy is, you know, like it's pretty easy to miss one, so be careful that you're also getting these little holes here. I think that personally when you do this line here, it makes it a lot harder to see, but you know, obviously you want to imply that the part is symmetric. So there's a reason for it. Make sure you're grabbing the square grips when you're moving this. All right, so now we can do our hatch. It's the default, so I'm going to again just place it and then we'll manipulate it after. Unfortunately, as you see, our section lines actually make it even more divided into portions. But that's okay. So just go through clicking as you go and close it. And actually, that's pretty darn close. Let's try 1.5. Yeah, I think that's good. So we can move this view over about 1 inch horizontally. And let's put in some dimensions. All right, so we've got this width here. Oh, and let's change our precision to 2 decimals like in the book. All right. got 2 width on the bottom. Make sure you're grabbing endpoints and not any other options there. The endpoints are what we want. Okay, and then we have 20 times that value. Actually, everything from here is pretty much a diameter value, so let's use that one instead of the auto dimension. It's a little more accurate when you use this. You don't have to worry about fighting to grab a grip point. So, and I'll reposition everything after we get done. So I'm just going to kind of throw these in ballpark of where they'll be and make it look better in a minute. Okay, so this one is 8 times that value, equi spaced, because that's how we talk. And I chose to change the justification to make it match. And for these, I would just put it on polar so we can manually move these kind of close. This is where drafting is kind of an art. You just got to make it visually close to the eye with some good spacing. And if snaps are giving you problems, just turn it off temporarily. I'll turn it back on before I forget. And you know what? They could have been lower. That's fine. So we'll put it roughly the same height as the 2.10 dim. And I'll move this one up. I noticed the other 2 dims over there a little bit closer or further apart. So, all right. So that's going to be it for this one. The only other thing I would say to do is if you got it on the same template, you may as well go up another inch. Make it look a little more proportional around the edges. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one. Thanks for watching, everybody.